We don't normally have lives on Thursdays unless we're doing our bake-a-thon. Wait, today is Thursday, right? Yeah. Unless we're doing our sourdough bake-a-thon. Today, I'm going to be refreshing my starter at a little time. So that's what we're going to be doing. We do have our sourdough bake-a-thon coming up possibly next week. And I say possibly because I'm not sure. I have to check my schedule to see we're going to have it. So it's probably, if it's coming up next week, it's probably going to start like a Wednesday. It's going to be a weird schedule, but it is what it is. So like I said, I had some time today, so I just decided to refresh my start. So those of you who don't know, this is Fred. Okay. He's my child. This is my big boy right here. And he is the reason why we have our sourdough. I started back in March doing this because for like 2 weeks straight, I was just getting consistent sourdough videos like all the time. And I'm just like, you know what? I need to figure out sourdough. It's not something that I thought I would actually like because I ran away from it for years because honestly, it's a lot, but it's rewarding and it's fun. So we're gonna refresh and consider looking at the container. This color is a bit creamy. He's usually on the white side, but if he's been sitting down here for a long time, like he's been doing, his color changes. There's also a smell that comes with this. Now, I know they say when you smell like acetone type, you don't use it. I find, and this is just my experiment, I find that because I know I can give my starter at least maybe 4 or 5 days before I actually feed it, and it stays out at room temperature with no issues, I think I can get away with the smell because to me it's not acetone, it's more so alcohol, like it's been eating itself. So that's what I find. Okay, it's still early, my brain's still working. It's hard to explain because when you go on blogs or just like that, the sourdough tells you if there's a certain smell, you shouldn't use it or anything like that. But I really find that if my starter is 100% hungry, you're gonna get that alcoholic smell. But right underneath it, you're gonna get the toast flavor. It smells different. Like it's not doesn't smell like it's spoiled or anything like that. It just smells different. So go through this process almost every time I fresh my starter. So right here I have 250 grams. This is just what I do. And this is my discard container. Now as you can see, he is active. There's a lot of life happening in here. And I just like to add the remainder of the starter into here. It's the gift that keeps on giving. You will never be out of starter or discard. Because at this point, I don't call my starter a discard because it's super, super active. And I keep the discard, and I'm only using discard because that's what it has. I keep the discard in the fridge. I don't do anything. The only time it gets, I guess, food is when I'm actually refreshing, and I do not refresh often. In the summer, the early summer, I was doing it once a day, generating way too much discard that I can keep up with. So I just decided to push it as long as possible. So I like to add the remainder starter in this and just mix it. Bring ones at the bottom to the top, just so that the thing has like equal chances of being the same flavor. One's not too potent than the other. You know, kind of like first in, first out, but the only thing is you're not taking anything out. You're just adding on top and mixing it in. So if you let your starter sit at room temperature, even before 30 minutes, your discard. If you let it sit for about 30 minutes after you take it out of the fridge, if you keep it in the fridge, you'll be able to mix your discarded stuff. If you're into sourdough, you know what I'm talking about. A lot of people confuse it myself. But yeah, just pull anything from the bottom. Yeah. Since it's at room temperature, it's easy to mix in. Very, very lucid. Slowly and everything like that, so it should be fine. But if you're joining me, I'm just refreshing my starter. I'm gearing up for my sourdough bake-a-thon, which should be happening next week, so just look out for that. 7 days of sourdough, and we make different things using sourdough to start. I mean, everything, okay? Crab cakes, fish cakes, muffins, quick bread. I can possibly think I can make with sourdough is what we do. And if you're watching the live, don't forget to like it. You can tell me, you can say hi in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. I go through this the entire time, but I also don't leave my discard container on the counter. Reason being, super active. I've never had a moment since I started this journey where my discard was, I mean, super active, super bubbly. I keep it in a bowl in the fridge. I don't need the overflow. The reason why I actually put it in the fridge was because one day I came downstairs, I was looking nothing. So I was like, oh, it's healthy. Went upstairs, came back less than an hour, everything was spilled all over the table. Like it's super active. So keeping it in the fridge slows down fermentation for the discard, also for the starter, but my starter never stays in the fridge. My starter is always temperature. So shortly. Solid at room temp. Never, ever, ever. And I just have it in a big enough container just so that once it has enough space. I'm trying to change this container, honestly. I don't like these because, as you can see, there's a lot of starter still caught here. But I am gonna clean this because my son is a bougie boy. Okay, he likes to clean container. He does not like being messy. He will not grow properly. And because I keep this in the fridge and it's prone to actually kind of explode. Hi, Miriam. I usually keep this parchment paper. I put it over, and I just have this in the cup. So there's paper towel in the cupboard because honestly, the cover seems to be stained. So I do have to change it, but I keep it there just to protect my actual discard. Because I found that when I didn't have it, I'm from Canada. I'm in Toronto. When I didn't have the paper towel over, the starter had a different color. Kind of like oxidization started happening. But it wasn't bad or anything. It just didn't look like the normal starter color that I'm used to. Or this card color, I should say. So I'm using clean this container, and then we can continue with the refreshing of the discard. Because once I refresh it, it goes right into the container and it goes into his little home. I have a little section where he just stays there. Doesn't matter the temperature. At first, I thought I wasn't able to do it because I started this back in March. Oh, thank you so much for subbing. Where are you from? And I was so concerned when I first started because I was like, I don't sourdough. I don't know how to keep this thing alive. Like it just there was a whole lot of doubt happening. But I've learned through just doing it. I didn't really follow anyone for tips or anything. You've seen, you would see videos or you would see blog posts. But the thing is, from my experience, is you have to do it and you have to make notes. Because I can tell you what works for my starter, but it might not work for yours, right? So you need to pay attention to it. I have a notebook. I don't have it downstairs right now, but I have a sourdough notebook. You pay attention to all the differences that come up, all the different colors. Like, how long does it take for it to rise? How long does it take to change color? Because there's so many different color changes. It's ridiculous. Sometimes it's white, like full on white, but like close to white, off white maybe. Sometimes it's full on beige. Sometimes it's in between. So it's just one of those things where you just have to pay attention to your starter and your discard just to know. You would know if it was growing mold. I've never had it happen, but I know you would know because mold is not something that you can necessarily. It might be a little pinkish color. It might be gray. It might be blue. It might be green. So you'll know if it's molding. But that's why I think it's important to actually pay attention to your sourdough starter or discard versus what someone is saying or someone of what they wrote on a blog. Everyone's gonna experience the same thing because of your environment, because of your altitude, factors that go into this. So you just need to just pay attention to yours. So as you can see, this is what I'm refreshing. That's 250 grams. I find that my starter likes warm. Some people might say it doesn't matter if you use warm or cold water. Doesn't matter. I use warm water. I did a test. I did warm water. I did cold water. Mine prefers the warm water. I actually prefer using warm water because it mixes everything easily for me. This might be one too many steps for other people, but I like mixing my water and my starter together for smooth consistency. You don't have to do that. You can put everything all in one. I've tried that before. It's not something that I like to do. I like to mix it separately. So we are going to do that. We're going to add 109 grams of water. Now, if for some strange reason you go over with your starter, you just adjust the water or you can take it out. Don't just adjust. So if I add a little bit more starter, then I'm going to add a little bit more water just to make sure that it's okay. And the ratios aren't off. And sometimes I don't. Like, that's just the honest truth. Okay, so you're just going to mix this just like this, just so that you get everything incorporated, all the lumps pretty much gone. It's not a bad habit. It's just something that I've done from my sourdough starter. just find it's easier. So at this stage, this is what it would look like if you did it separately. But you will also get a nice yeasty smell. At that time, you know it's so good. It still smells like you're about to bake some fresh bread. It's good to go. No issues with it. Everything is fine. No like coloring. This is the color that should happen. To go. So we're just gonna add some flour into this. Again, I don't use filtered water, regular tap water. And for the flour, this is just regular all-purpose flour. Any brand should be fine. I don't use bread flour in anything so far. I will one day, but I don't. I started this because I woke up one morning and said I need to make sourdough. That's how this works. So we just use what we have over here. How we make it work. Okay, so I'm excited for the other sourdough bake-a-thon that's coming up because we're gonna make fall things. So for the all-purpose flour, it's gonna be about 375 grams. So it's 250 grams of starter, 190 grams of water, warm water, and 375 sorry, of all-purpose flour. And you just mix it. I did want to let you know my starter, it is not a runny, watery, bubbly thick, okay? And it's done me well. At first, I was just trying to compare myself to all these sourdough experts. I'm not an expert. No girls or women trying to figure out this sourdough thing to suit my needs and make things I want to eat. Most people are obsessed with getting the perfect sourdough bread. I want every single thing. Anything that I should be able to make with yeast, I want to make it with sourdough. That's the purpose of our sourdough bake-a-thon. It's to make quick things with ingredients that I have in the house, and things that I like it. And I've done a really good job. I really think so. There's tons of lives, the channel of me failing, being successful, random things happening. It's just all a part of the process. So I'm not searching for, okay, I will create imperfect sourdough bread for me. And sometimes I'm not worried about what it looks like or nothing. I want to make sure I have recipes that are delicious. I made flatbread. I made sweet potato bread, turned it into a flatbread. What? We have a hot dog bread recipe, sourdough bread recipe, Discord, that miserably I turned it into a flatbread. I'm versatile, so okay. A lot of these doughs that I make, I turn them into cinnamon rolls. It's just what I like to do. I like to make sure my recipe, I mean, it's perfect for one thing, but I really like to make sure it can double or triple for something else. Because if I am home, and let's just say I want like a pizza dough, my pizza dough is basic, doesn't have any olive oil or anything, and then I made too much, for that same pizza dough into either a savory, like not cinnamon roll, but a savory garlic roll, you can turn it into a cinnamon roll. What? Are you kidding me? You don't need 5 different recipes for all these things. I do not. So, this is my starter. The spread, okay? How he looks before he goes into his home. And he is going to sit here all day. And he is going to just relax. Sometimes I find myself being like, oh my gosh, he's no longer around. But no, Fred likes to take his time and just rest and ride. That's what he likes to do. Now, I think maybe sometime soon I'm gonna do a full time lapse of this. The reason being because it goes through so many different changes. Because once I seal this here, I don't open it until one, either I'm baking bread, but I usually use my discard that's in the fridge. You should use that. Have it set there. Okay, this is just what I do, right? But I don't open it. I don't open it to smell it. I don't open it to look at it. Nothing unless I'm gonna use it or refresh it. Because once I seal this, it's gonna be like the gases are gonna be released. I'm gonna try to explain this if you've never seen it. Gases are gonna be released, and then this is gonna be cloudy. Gonna have like a little cloudy look, so all the little gases they're doing what they need to do in there. And then you're gonna start seeing like some it looks like water, like a little bit of condensation that I find that happens. But you'll also see the dough because right now, as you can see, it's not fully all at the bottom. You can see it on this side, but there's still space. But once the gases start to release, I find it relaxes. And it kind of looks like heat. Kind of looks like heat. You can actually see it working. On a time lapse, you would absolutely see it working. So I just leave this. Now what? It's 10:30 now. I usually just leave this until I'm like, okay, it's peaked. Like you can tell when it's peaked and you can tell when it starts eating itself. Once it starts eating itself, it shrinks. And my rule of thumb is I probably, if it grows, just to show you, if it grows from about here, it'll start to sink because it'll start eating itself. I usually start refreshing about here. So it'll start here. But if I don't use it, it'll just die down to here. And I'll just start to refresh it. Then that's when I'll refresh. And don't open this until then. Okay? So that's just me refreshing Fred. I'm super excited because he's been having a good life, okay? He's gonna get a home, a bank home to make it work. Now, for the upcoming week, we may have a live stream on Saturday. That is our usual weekly live streams, but I decided to give one today. We're gonna have one coming up on Saturday. Now, for the sourdough bake-a-thon for September, you guys get to vote for what you want to see, but you also get to tell me what it is you want me to make, or I just make whatever I want, you know, whatever. However, it's gonna be fall edition, so if I can find pumpkin right now, we're gonna do some pumpkin things. We're gonna do some sweet potato stuff. Once again, it's apple season. I feel like I want to go apple picking just to use the apples in these things. So we're gonna have a few things. They're all gonna be easy bake things. Nothing that has to rest for like 5, 6 hours. Anything that I make usually has to rest for about 3 to 4 hours in general. But you can wake up early in the morning, do that, and then boom, by lunchtime you're good. So I am going to have my recipes already planned. I'm just gonna lay them out to make sure that I have everything for the sourdough bake-a-thon. And if it is happening, it will start on Wednesday next week. Wednesday. And we're just gonna see how far we get. You know, like pumpkin muffins, pumpkin bread, pumpkin whatever, pumpkin pancakes, whatever you could possibly think of. We're gonna try and make it. Okay. So that's it. Fred is going to have a good day, a good holiday until I'm ready to refresh him again. That is it for this live stream. If you do want to see something made online, you can check out my community section, a message, and I'll see it. Let me know what you want me to make, or let me know if you have an idea. I'm here for all the crazy. The only thing is I don't eat meat. Okay, so nothing with meat. But that is it for this live stream. I hope you enjoyed. And I will see you back here for a new one.